Hi everybody, it's Peter Bird here from Optimal Nutritional Excellence, All One, and it's really nice to see you. And I hope your day's going great, and I hope your week's been going okay. Now, I just want to have a quick check-in today, so just 4 or 5 minutes of your time, and I just want to quickly talk about, introduce you to the circadian rhythm. Now, the circadian rhythm in relation to the human body is the circadian rhythm, that term roughly translated from Latin means 24-hour cycle. So our systems, every system in the body is designed to work within a 24-hour cycle or to work to a 24-hour cycle. And it's very strict at doing that. So for us to be able to operate at our optimum, we ideally want to be working in with that cycle. So working in with our natural cycle of our body. Now, an obvious part of that 24-hour cycle or that circadian rhythm would be, or an example of that, would be that we are, as an animal, designed to be asleep during the night and be awake during the day. There's various hormones that get released as we get closer to, as the sun goes down, and that create sleepiness, and there's certain chemicals or hormones or suppressed as we wake up to, or as the sun comes up, and as we are exposed to light, that create wakefulness. And through the night, our temperature drops to its lowest, our heart rate drops to its lowest, our blood pressure drops to its lowest, and our breathing rate drops to its lowest. And there's no production going through our digestive system. So there's a whole lot of mechanisms that come into play there. Now, one of those mechanisms that I want to talk about is what's called the MMC, or called the migrating motorized process. This process acts like a street cleaner. And so what it does is it starts going through the digestive system when there's no food. If there's any food in there, this system is suppressed. This street cleaner just pulls over to the side and it just waits for the food to go through. And this MMC is really, really important for good gut health, because what it does is it goes through the digestive system and it removes or takes out any of those undigestible parts of our food and carries them down to the lower bowel or lower parts of the body ready for being removed. What it also does is it carries out any bacteria that starts to migrate upwards from our microbiome gut, which is in our microbiome live in our large bowel. And one of the blogs I did was on the microbiome. Now, so what happens is that over a period of time, we get bacteria start to migrate out of that large lower bowel and up into the small intestine. We don't want it there. We don't want gut bacteria growing there. So what this street cleaner does, what this MMC does, this migrating motorized process, is it cleans up the bacteria and carries it back into the gut, into the lower bowel, really for taking away. And when we have our sleep at night, we don't have enough time when we're asleep for that process to absolutely fully do its function. So what's really useful is what we call time-restricted eating, or intermittent fasting. What's important is to understand the value and the importance of working in with that particular cycle, that MMC, to allow that cleaning process to fully take place. So during the day, if you haven't eaten for a period of time, you might find, or you may hear some rumbling in your tummy, and then it stops and goes away, and then rumbling again. And what that is not so much hunger signals. That will be that MMC going through. That's the street cleaner going through. Now, it'll happen every 20 or 30 minutes. You'll get that sort of rumbling sort of sound that you hear that kind of can be gurgling sort of sound in your gut. And that is the street cleaner going through your gut. Now, if you want to interrupt that, if you don't want that sound, just have something to eat, and that makes it go away. But that sound is a really healthy process, a really healthy sound, because you know that you've got the cleanup process happening. And that how that goes through is it operates on what we call peristalsis. Now, peristalsis is these are wonderful words. I find them wonderful, but they can be quite complex and a bit confusing. Now, what that means is That's the type of movement. That's how food is carried through the system. That is how the street cleaner goes through our system. And that's very much, peristalsis is very much like a wave. It's very much like how a snake goes across the ground with its muscle contractions. And that carries the food through the system, our food through our system. And that also allows and carries the MMC through our digestive tract on a regular basis, so it can have a good old clean out, so you can be at optimum health. And you just need to have a little bit of time restricted eating. Now, what that time restricted eating means is ideally we know that if you can consume all the food that you're going to consume within an 8-hour period, 10 hours ideally would be sort of the max, but ideally in an 8-hour period, that allows plenty of time for that cleanup process to take place, and then your system will be ready and for the next ingestion of lots of whole food. And what we know, I'll just finish off now, I won't hold you up because I know you've got busy lives. What I always say is ideally what you're doing when you're ingesting food is you're ingesting predominantly whole foods. That's your nuts, seeds, legumes, your leafy greens, your beans, your whole grains, and your wonderful, wonderful mushrooms. Now, and that will by default move us away from those ultra-processed foods, the high amounts of animal protein that are in the Western diet, and moving you down towards that spectrum of really good nutrient-dense foods. That's me today. Great to see you. Thanks for checking in. I really value you checking in. I'd love you to be able to subscribe and like. By subscribing and liking, you are allowing my platform to grow, which what that does, of course, is alert this algorithm of these platforms to start focusing a little bit more on what I'm doing, which is what I'm about. Okay, take care. Have a good one.
Hi everybody, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you can like and subscribe, that would mean a great deal to me. It means that we can get the message out a lot wider, and that's my mission, is to be able to provide simple, clear, concise nutritional information and deliver it in a way that's understandable and usable.